what matters more, becoming 3-time heavyweight world champion or being undisputed?
They're both important, but I think more.
Charlotte Daly with Male Sport Boxing. I'm joined by the one and only Lennox Lewis. How are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Good. Great
Good.
to have you.
Yes.
I want to start by talking about AJ's rebuild. You went through a similar thing after your loss to Oliver McCall in 1994, I think it was. You
Yes.
brought in Emmanuel Stewart and you became a more kind of a strategic fighter as such, much more disciplined as well. Do you think the same changes are coming through for AJ since his link up with Ben Davison?
Yeah, I think the chemistry is very important, how you and your trainer react. And if you can, listen to him and take what he's saying to you and actually do it in the fight. So for the time being, I've seen a good chemical reaction between both of them.
With your situation, you fought Oliver again 3 years later and you almost were like a transformed fighter. Do you think, for example, with AJ, that he will have transformed enough to beat someone like Alexander Usyk in a similar circumstance at the third time of trying? Because I think it was 3 years when you first took on Oliver to the second time. It will be 3 years since the last fight with Usyk to when he potentially fights him again. Do you think that's enough time for him to have adapted and changed, and do you think he'll be ready?
Yeah, I think, for me and my losses, I was actually trying to get them back in the ring as soon as possible. But they were trying to stay out of the ring. It's like they got the fight, they won the fight, and it's like, I don't want to fight you anymore. Let me fight somebody else. I want to fight Tyson. But I had them sign a piece of paper that didn't allow that. So we fought again. And do you grow in the time? Yes, because you're able to look at all the mistakes that you lack, that you didn't do, all the things you didn't do in the fight, what you shoulda or coulda did. Now you have an opportunity to do it again, and you're thinking about doing it again, making sure that you know what to do to win, and making sure that you do it.
Do you think he is capable of making those necessary changes because it's already been 2 defeats? Can he change for that third?
Well, the problem that he faces is, does Alexander Usyk want to do it the third time? He's basically proven everything he needed to prove. Now he could retire. What's going to bring him back? Maybe the money's going to bring him back, or he needs something of that like to bring him back.
Now, I don't want to jump too far ahead because obviously we've got Daniel this weekend, but for AJ, as a former fighter yourself, what do you think is more within his interest? Is correcting that wrong against Alexander Usyk or facing someone like Tyson Fury, which would be an epic British battle?
Yeah, I think the epic British battle will always be there because it's a British fight, and that's the only one that everybody wants to see. So I think they'll be more focused on that.
From your experience, what means more and what matters more, becoming 3-time heavyweight world champion or being undisputed? Which one do you think means more?
Well, I think being undisputed is the biggest one out of both of them. I think being undisputed, not many people are undisputed.
Yeah, not many people are 3-time world heavyweight champion either. That's an elite group.
That's true as well. But if you want to put, which ones, they're both important. But I think undisputed is more.
AJ spoke about the fact that having undisputed, the opportunity to fight for undisputed, kind of ripped away from him, made it even more heartbreaking, the loss to Usyk. I mean, he's got the opportunity now to become 3-time world heavyweight champion. If things don't go his way on Saturday night, how much do you think that will affect him mentally?
It's interesting that you said that because, a lot of us go through different mental things, and I can't really comment on how it will affect. I know how it would affect me. I think in that case, it would affect anybody the same way. They would probably be sad, disappointed, heartbroken to a certain degree. We all accept it differently. So I can't really comment on what really the effect it's going to have on him.
If it was you in that circumstance, would you continue fighting? Would you want to carry on and want to try and get back up there? Or do you think at his age that he would potentially call it a day then? It's really up to him what he decides to do.
some people would say, well, you've got enough money, go into the sunset type of thing. You know, do what you want. Yeah.
In terms of tactically for this fight, they're both big punchers. They both have aggression. You fought against some really big punchers in your time. Even I think David Tui comes to mind, and you were able to neutralize him. How do you think Joshua has to go about neutralizing Daniel Dubois' power on Saturday night?
You know, I think Anthony Joshua is going to be happy to be able to box somebody and actually practice what he's been practicing in the gym for all this time. You know, here's a good subject to test all the things that he's been doing in the gym. And they've sparred each other before, so I think they're used to each other's, you know, power and what each other does. But they've both grown as well, so it's really down to the growth, seeing the growth in the ring when these guys box.
How much can you take from sparring? Because we've even heard it in the build-up for some of the fights on the undercard, talking about sparring stories that have happened. How much can you take from what goes on in the gym to what actually happens on fight night?
You can take a lot, and you know, I used to spar with Donovan Razor Roddick, for a long time, and you know, when he came over here and he said that, he said these words to me. He said, "Lennox, I've still got the blood from when we were sparring on my shoes." So I'm like, "Yeah, you think so? All right." So that just riled me up. That just got me mad that I focused. He helped himself knock himself out by saying those words to me. I was like, okay, yeah.
It's almost like a psychological thing then, I guess, as well.
So I had to get one up on him. Now you know what I can say.
Of course, of course. In terms of the people that they have in their corner, we've seen with Daniel Dubois that sometimes he looks for his father in the corner as words of wisdom to keep him going. How important is it that Daniel almost does this himself and for himself? Because he's been labelled with the quitter title before with the Usyk fight. I mean, he showed beyond that he's not necessarily a quitter anymore. But how important is it that he looks within rather than looking to ringside for the advice on Saturday night?
Well, you know, if him and his father have that kind of relationship, you know, he should know where his father should be. So if he wants to look at his father, you know, and it's going to help him win the fight, then look at his father, but don't look at his father during the fight. Yeah. You know, when the bell rings and you go walk into your corner, you're in your corner, look at your dad, but don't look at your dad when you're in the fight.
Yeah. What is your prediction for Saturday night? How do you think it's going to unfold between AJ and Dubois?
I think it's not going to be an easy fight for each of them. Both guys got something to prove. Both guys want respect. You know, it's a situation where the top guy has to defend his spot. So AJ has to defend his spot at the top, and if Daniel Dubois wants his title and wants to keep his championship, this is what he has to do. He has to beat Anthony Joshua.